Good morning, my dear students. I heartily welcome you all for another second year English webinar session by Mrs. Rupa, English PGT, working at Telangana Model School, Bommal Ramaram, Yadadri district. Today, your madam would take up the short story, The Awakening by Shashi Deshpande. In this story, you will learn the story of a small child studying SSC, of wherein she faces harsh realities of life, though she has many ambitions in life to settle down. So we'll see how difficult it is for a father to run the family and how difficult it would be to make both the ends meet. So now I request Rupa madam to begin with the story.
Thank you, ma'am. Children, once again, very good morning to all of you. Today, I'm going to take up Senior Intermediate webinar session, children, and I'm going to take up Module 4, Unit 15. Today, I'll be taking up a short story, and the title of the story is The Awakening, written by Shashi Deshpande. Children, after the completion of this short story, you will be able to understand how the lives of typical lower middle class families would be. And you will be knowing what are the struggles a father faces, what are the sacrifices he makes in order to run the family and in order to provide the minimum necessities to his family members. And moreover, this story revolves around a character called as Alka, who is a young girl. And you will come to know how this young girl faces the harsh realities of life. And one more important thing you will be coming across after the completion of this short story is the role of education, how education can change lives, how education can make lives better and the best too, and how education plays a major role in making one's dreams come true. Now, The Awakening, written by Shashi Deshpande. Before we begin the story, we will be knowing little more about the author. Shashi Deshpande is one of the most well-known Indian writers in English, children. And for her very first novel, The Dark Holds No Terror, which she has written in 1980, she has won critical acclaim. She got so many good reviews for her very first novel. And she was awarded the Sahitya Academy Award for her novel, The Long Silence, which she has written in 1990. And she has written many short stories, children, and some of them are If I Die Today, written in 1982, and in 2000, she has written Small Remedies, and in 2002, she has written The Binding Wine, and Moving On in 2004, children. And she has also received one of the prestigious awards, that is the Padma Shri, in 2009. And in many of her novels, what do we find is, children, she tries to reflect the marital relationships, and that too, the status of women she focuses on, and that too the women who belong to the middle class, and that too in an Indian setup, in an Indian society. So let's get started by knowing the characters in this short story, children. Here we have the character of the father, the mother, and their children. That is the eldest Rekha, the second daughter Alka, who is the main character of our short story today, children. And you have Sirish, their brother, and one more is Shobha. So in this family of 6 members, you have the father character, the mother character, and 3 daughters. The eldest being Rekha, the second being Alka, and among the daughters, the Shobha is the third one. And when you see, there is only one male member in this family, who is Sirish, who is next to Alka. Means he is, in order of the siblings, he is the third child, the male child. Next, you come across two more characters, that is of the grandfather and Patkar also. Now, let's get started, children. Now, think it over, says the father to Alka, the second daughter. Then what is the reaction of Alka? Let's see, children. I opened my mouth to what? Yell, protest, cry. Nothing seemed appropriate. So I closed it again when he went on unnoticing. So here, when the father said, think it over, he's telling, think it over, Alka. Then Alka just opened her mouth. Means she was in a position where she wanted to yell, means shout loudly. Protest means she want to see, she is opposing to the proposal that was there in her hand, and she want to cry. Okay, because nothing was happening which she wanted. Nothing seems to be suitable. So she closed that proposal letter that was there. So what was the reaction of the father? The father was acting, pretending, unnoticing. Means he was acting as if he was not noticing. He was not seeing the reaction of Alka. You don't have to, you can always refuse. Means there's a proposal brought by the father to Alka. So, and father is telling, I'm not telling you to accept it. You have all the right to refuse it. Not accepting is refusing. Okay, father is telling, you can refuse it. There's no rule that you have to accept the proposal letter. Okay, then what he's telling, but think it over first. You know all the facts anyway. He's telling, one side he's telling, it is not that you will accept it, the proposal letter that he has bought for his daughter. And one more thing he's telling is, other side he's telling that you think over before whether you accept or not accept. You must keep in your mind, you must bear in your mind one thing. What is that? The facts, means what is the reality that is in front of you. Okay, the realities include the conditions of his family, their family members, okay, his own condition, all these situation. He wants his second daughter, Alka, to keep in mind before she is going to either refuse or accept the proposal that is there in the letter. Now, yes, I do. So she's telling, yes, I know the situations. Okay, what is she telling? Let's see further. A father who brought into this world more children than he can support on a small salary. Now she's telling about the realities. What she's telling, I know my father is in such a condition that, what is that condition? What he's having many children, but his salary is very, very less. So she's making a point. She's pinpointing her father. What is that she's pinpointing and stressing and telling about is, though her father's income is very less, okay, his salary is less, but the children he has brought into this world are many. Okay, how many? 4. But his salary is very, very less. Means he cannot support them. Means he is not able to run his family with the small income that he has, or the small salary, the little salary that he is earning. Means his salary is very less, and he is not able to run the family, which is having how many members? 4 children and her parents. Means 6 members family. He is not in a position to run. So she is making a sarcastic comment, saying that though his salary is very less, but what he did, he had bought 4 children into this world. A daughter to be married, a son stricken with polio, another daughter yet in school, and I who will soon be passing my SSC. The conclusion is inescapable. So here she's telling, yes, I know very well. I know the facts. I know the realities. I know the condition of my family. What is that? There is one daughter. Who is that daughter she's referring to or talking about is Rekha, to get married. And there is one son. Who is that son? Sirish, who is suffering with polio. And there is one more little girl. Who is that? Shobha, who is still in school. And she's talking about herself and telling what children? That she will be soon passing out her SSC. That is a 10th standard. Now she's telling the conclusion is inescapable. Inescapable means what? It is impossible to avoid. Okay. I've had them dined into me often enough, I muttered. She's muttering. What is she muttering? She is having a lot of complaints. She's getting angry, but she's not able to express her emotions. She's not able to express her feelings outwardly. So she's expressing that in a very low voice and with the lips partly closed, is muttering to herself, because she is in such a condition where she can't express her feelings also. So she is just muttering them. Now next, what he asked. Father is asking what. Now let's see what she's now talking about. Alka, you had to shout to be heard in that room. So she's telling there is a room. In that, what we have to do, if I talk something and the other family member has to hear, I just cannot speak normally. I have to shout and tell. Then only the other family member will be able to hear me. Okay, why that situation? Now she's telling the noises, the stove hissing loudly. So this is a kerosene stove, children. So when the kerosene stove is on, what will happen? You get a hissing sound of the flames. Okay, that is one noise coming in the room where these family members are living. The onions spluttering in the oil. And so for cooking, whenever her mother cuts onions and she puts them into the oil, what happens? Oil contains little water, children. So what happens when onion pieces are put into oil? They start spluttering. So it makes a sound. So that is one sound. Then one more sound. What is that? Rekha's radio on at full blast as usual. Means it's a common, usual thing happening every day. What is that? Rekha listening to the radio with the full volume. That is one sound. And next she says is Sirish and Shobha squabbling also as usual. So what the younger ones both, one is the Alka's brother, okay, Sirish, and even Alka's sister. Those two young ones are always having an argument, they are having fight. So that is one common thing, usually it happens in their home. So she's telling all these noises are there. One is the stove, okay, hissing stove. The other one is spluttering of the onions in the oil. One is the radio's volume, and the other one is Sirish and Shobha's arguments. That is a fighting, shouting, yelling. Okay, these are all the things, disturbances, noises that are there in the room in which these family members are living. So one has to shout in order to talk or convey some information or to let them know what they are speaking. Okay. So because of all these noises, she's telling that it is hell. Okay, hell. All sort of disturbances, noises, unpleasant things happening. So we usually refer when it is like that, people fighting on one side, noise, unpleasant sounds, we say it is hell. Okay, so same thing here also. Alka is telling the conditions in the room they are living with all the noises is exactly nothing other than a hell. Nothing, I shouted back. And why must we know? Why must we have so much noise? She's telling. What? Nothing. Again, we have to shout. And she's shouting back and telling what? Why we must have so much of noise in this room? Okay, that in the room where they are, all the 6 family members are living. She's telling why we must have so much of noise. It's like a zoo. She goes to compare the conditions in the house and she's comparing them it to a zoo also. But even the animals live one in a cage. Now she's telling they are living in one single room. How many members? 6 members are living in one room. She's telling it's like zoo. And again she's telling zoo only is better. Why? In zoo we have many cages, but at least in the zoo, in one cage, one animal is kept. But look here, in this house, how many? 6 members are there, and all of them are in one single room, she's telling. Now, what happens? We'll see. Go and live there yourself, Sirish retorted gleefully. So, for the coming, the sister maid, the younger brother of Alka, that is Sirish, is very quickly, very in a sharp and a witty reply he is giving and telling, you only, Alka, that is sister, Alka, you only go and live there. Where is he referring her to go and live? In a zoo, which is having one animal in a cage. He's telling you better go and live there only in a cage. Okay, there you can stay one singly in one cage, because here we are living, all of us are living in one single room. You feel that it is it's a lot of discomfort for you. Better go and live in the cage that is there in the zoo, he's telling. And he's telling, Sirish is again telling what? You call your family members as animals. Okay. Mind your tongue, Alka, he's telling. He's telling, how dare you compare all our family members with the animals that are living in the zoo? How dare you do that? Mind your tongue means be careful of what you're speaking, he's telling. To his sister, though she is elder than him. That was mother. God made mothers because he couldn't be everywhere himself. What nonsense. Now switch over. Now she's talking about, Alka is talking about mother, her mother. And she's telling, we know this very famous saying, no children, that God could not be everywhere, so he made mother. So she is also referring to that saying and telling, God made mothers because he couldn't be everywhere himself. What nonsense is this? Because she is not agreeing with this. There are mothers and mothers and mothers. Mine is a woman with a heavy, sullen face. But when she looks at Sirish, and a tongue like a serrated knife, but when she talks to Sirish. So she's telling about her mother. She's telling, yes, there is a very nice saying telling that God made mothers because he could not be everywhere. But I feel it is a big nonsense. I don't agree with it. Why she's telling? Because her mother is an exception. Because she finds her mother that she's always with a heavy, sullen face, dull face, always irritated, annoyed. Okay, all sort of negative expressions are seen on her face, except for one at what is the time when she's not irritated, when she's not annoyed, when she's not what dull. Only when she looks at her brother, that is Sirish. And always her mother spoke very rudely, very harshly. That's why her tongue is compared to a serrated knife. Even we see children, we have knives at home. At one edge of it has zigzag cuttings. That is called as serrated end, children. Even the seesaw which the saw which the carpenter uses also, you find like teeth-like structures. That is called as serrated. Here, the mother's tongue is compared to serrated knife. It means it hurts. She speaks so rudely. She speaks so harshly. it hurts the other person. She's always using harsh words. She's always being so very rude to everybody in the family, except when she talks to Shirish. She talks to Shirish with love, and she talks politely with Shirish only. And she shows love, affection, and expressions on her face are all positive towards Sirish. The rest of the time, with the rest of the family members, her mother is always an irritating character, annoying character, always being rude, always being harsh. I don't know how you put up with her impudence. She cast a venomous look at poor Babu, the man whose one aim in life is to avoid conflicts. Here, now, Alka, till now, she spoke how her mother behaved, how her mother's facial expressions were, how her emotions were towards towards her family members. That is, she spoke about the children only. What, except for Sirish, the other girls, that is either with Rekha, either with Alka, or even with Shobha, she was always speaking very harshly. She was rude to the girls, okay, and her emotions or facial expressions always they were negative, and towards the girls only, towards a male child. Even the male child, though he was suffering from polio, the mother had what, love and affection towards the boy only. Now Alka is talking how her attitude was towards her father. Towards her father also, she always had that venomous look, means very dangerous looks. Okay, and what she and even the father also, poor thing, he did not react. Okay, he kept calm, and Alka says that it looked as if his father's main aim of life, main goal of life was to avoid conflicts, means not to have any what no disagreement, not to have any controversy, not to have any fights in the house. Okay, so with that intention, he never reacted and reacted back, and he never tried to what correct his wife, or never he said a word against his wife. So all rest of, except for Sirish, all the family members were treated by her with impudence. Impudence means there was no modesty. Okay, they were treated with insolence, so no politeness, no love, no affection. Oh, Baba is a saint, I said lightly. So Alka is telling, comparing her father to a saint, sage, sadhu. He can put up with so many things, like you, for example. Why not with my impudence? Okay, she's telling why Baba is like a saint, because he is able to bear so many things. Okay, he's able to bear whom? A mother who is what, having a venomous look, okay, dangerous look, who doesn't even show his reaction. Okay, he is not in a position to correct his wife. He is not in a position to tell his wife that that she should not treat the girls like that. Okay, he is what, just like a saint. She is making fun of her father. Who? Alka. A saint. Does being an unthinking, unfeeling, walking zombie make you a saint? No, he is not a saint, but a fool, a blind fool. So she's telling sarcastically, she said, Saint, no, he's not a saint. Now she's comparing her father to what? A walking zombie. What is a zombie? Is a soulless corpse, a dead body she's comparing. But since her father has life and he's showing movement, she is using what? Comparing her father to a walking zombie. He's not a saint. Why? Because he has no feelings. He has no power to think. Okay. So she is making fun of her father. She is using such harsh words towards her father. She is telling, she goes to the extent of telling that he is a fool. What? Not just fool, but she's telling he's a blind fool. Now, what do you find, children? Here, we have come to know that the mother is showing her irritation, frustration, and she's full of negativity. Okay, she has a negative attitude towards all her family members except for Sirish. Okay, now what is happening? We'll see. You find that even Alka, like her mother, is showing her frustration. She is, though she's commenting her mother negatively, telling that she's having venomous look, she doesn't have, she's having no politeness, she doesn't treat her the family members, that is her all the girls in the house properly. She doesn't have a proper attitude that is required by a woman, okay, who is having a husband and children. She is showing a differentiation between the girls and the boy. Okay, so what she's finding all the negativities in her mother, and she's talking negatively about her mother. Even she's talking negatively about her father, and she's making fun of him also. Okay, but she is also showing her frustration also, but she is actually carrying those emotions of her mother in her. Okay, that is obviously is seen, children, because she is also not talking politely to her, means the comment she makes, even she is not polite to her father, she is not even polite to her mother also, because the kind of comment she's making is actually a replica. She's actually an image, means she's a reflection of her mother. The mother's character is also seen in her. This is a point we must notice, children. Okay, next. And it isn't optimism, but idiocy, she's telling. See, optimism means positive attitude, children. But she says, my father behaving like that in the house, okay, it's not a positive attitude. What? Why she's telling that it's not a positive attitude? Because he doesn't want any disagreement. He doesn't want any controversy. So what is he doing? He's keeping quiet. Okay. So she says that's not positive attitude. She's telling it is this idiocy, means it is the stupid thing to be done, she's telling. If only he hadn't been so smugly content, and with what he is, with what he has, maybe we'd had got out of here. So she's telling, because of she says she's of the opinion that it is because of a character like my father, it is because of him that is we are in this condition, she says. Otherwise, if he could have been different, if he could have been a person with feelings, if he could have been a person who could have could have thought about his family, we couldn't have been in this condition. We could have been in a better condition. We could have been in a good condition, she says. She is blaming her father for the conditions in which they are living. She is making the father the main person, the sole person who is responsible for the condition in which they are in. I can't forgive him for being what he is. I will never forgive him. So she's very clearly saying, we are like this in a pathetic condition. We are living like what in a small room, and our lifestyle is so very low. He is not in a position to support the family. So all the condition which we are in, the main person is my father only. So I will not forgive him. He is the person who is responsible for the condition we are living in. this state of poverty which we are living. We are poor and we are living in such pathetic conditions because of father only. So she is making her father responsible for the whole thing, and she's telling, I will not forgive my father for this. She should be thankful for what we've done for her. After all, Rekha left school after the 9th standard. She's finishing her SSC. Okay, what she's now talking about, now who is talking? The mother is telling. What she's telling? Alka, she's talking about she. She's telling, addressing Alka as she. She's not addressing her own daughter as Alka, but she's telling what she's addressing Alka as she. She must be thankful. Mother is telling that Alka must be thankful because she is going to complete her SSC. Now look at Rekha. What is that? Miss Alka's elder sister, Rekha. What she had studied only what? Which class? 9th class. And after that, she left school. Means she gave up studies. Now, this Alka must be very, very thankful to us. Why? Because she is able to do her 10th class. Okay. Now, what is Alka regretting? Alka is unhappy about something. What is that? She. Doesn't my mother know my name? Now Alka is feeling very bad because Alka's mother, what is she doing? She is addressing Alka by not calling her Alka. She is addressing her by telling she, as if she doesn't know the name of her own daughter. You know, Rekha was different, Manda. Now herein, you will come to know the name of the mother children. Manda is the name of the mother. Alka's mother's name is Manda. So husband is talking, means Alka's father is telling to Alka's mother, that is Manda. What is he telling? You know, Rekha was different. She was never very interested in studies, but Alka is a brainy girl. He looked apologetically at me. Now, the wife and husband are talking. There, the wife is telling what? See, this Alka must be thankful because she is able to finish off her 10th class. Now, look at Rekha. She didn't even do her 10th. She only could do 9th class and she left her studies. Now, for that, the father is reacting and telling what? Don't tell like that. What he's telling? He's comparing Rekha and Alka and telling. Rekha did only 9th standard. Why? Because why? She was not interested in studies. But don't tell and compare Alka with Rekha. Why? Because Alka is brainy girl, means very intelligent girl, the father is telling. Okay. And he's telling, and what is his reaction? He looked apologetically at me. So Alka's father, when he made that comment, he turned and looked at Alka with an expression that showed that he was regretting. What he was regretting, let's see, we'll come to know that a bit later in the story. What's the use of talking now? You know, I can't go on. So what she's telling, what is the use? He's feeling sorry because in the beginning of the story also, what did he do? He bought a proposal letter and Alka was not happy about it. And the father also is feeling very sorry about it. He is also accepting that Alka is a very intelligent girl. Okay. But what is Alka feeling? What is the use of telling that she is interested, she is an intelligent girl, she's a brainy girl? Why to tell all this? Okay, because I can't go on. Means what is that she can't go on? Means she cannot carry on her studies. You know, I have to give up studies and take the precious typist job your precious Patkar has offered. So now here you will know the reason, children. What was the proposal letter that was there in her hand? The father bought a proposal letter to her. What was there in that proposal letter? That proposal letter had an what? A job opportunity has come to her. In that proposal, what was there? A job offer was given to Alka. What was that job? It was the job of a typist. And who helped her to get that job? Patkar. Okay. Patkar is the name of the person who helped Alka's father to get Alka a job. That is the job of a typist. She's using these words, children. Precious typist job means very, very great job, very, very important job, very, very valuable job. That is the job of the typist. That a very great person, a very important person, okay, has offered. Means he is the person who has given her the opportunity to get the job of a typist. So here she has stressed on those words. That great job, that precious job was given by that great person called Patkar. You know, you have ruined my life. Now she's telling, you have ruined my life. Means you have ruined means you have destroyed my life. Why she's telling this? Because she has to stop her studies. She had to give up her studies if she had to take up the job. Okay. So the proposal was to take up the job of a typist. Okay, in the beginning of the story we had. Okay, now no one can ruin your life except yourself, Alka. Don't be so exaggerated. That's the one thing I'm not. So Namada is reacting and telling, don't tell that what we ruined your life means we destroyed your life. Nobody can destroy life. It is you yourself. You are destroying your life. Don't exaggerate means don't try to tell something which is so it's a small thing and you're going on what telling more and describing and telling too much about a simple fact or simple truth. She's telling me exaggerated. That's the one thing I'm not. She's telling, answering Amata, I'm exaggerating in things and telling. No, I'm not exaggerating. I'm telling the fact. I'm not telling something which is not there. I'm telling and speaking of the fact. I'm not telling something that is not the fact. I'm not blooming up the thing she's telling. Where have I read the words? I am 25 unfulfilled dreams old. I am 17 and feel a million unfulfilled dreams old. She's telling she's 17 years old and she is a young girl with so many dreams. But what happened now? All her dreams are unfulfilled. She's feeling that so many dreams she has, that she's going to study further, she is going to take up higher studies, then she's going to do a job. She had so many goals in her life. She had so many big aims in her life. But now what is she left with? She's left up with the typist job and she has to take up the job. And what is the thing she's feeling bad about is she's feeling bad that she has to discontinue her studies. Even in a college also we see children, yes, your friends, girls especially, yes, when they are in inter also they get married. Some take admission into inter first year after getting married. Isn't it pathetic, children? The reasons may be anything. Might be they because of the family pressure or being the eldest in the family, or somebody is sick in their family, they want to see the girl getting married. These reasons will whatever is the reason, the life, the dreams of a girl child are ended. They come to an end. The bright future of girls is always what at risk. Nobody thinks about the girl's future. Nobody thinks about the talent she has, how intelligent she is, and giving up studies, that too by an intelligent child, how painful it will be for the child who has so many dreams, so many aims, all come to an end. Isn't it so such a bad thing that happens, especially in India, children, where no importance is given to the education of a girl child. And even our government is what Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao is the program that is taken up. Yes, this is to be considered, children. Now let's look into the story now. Oh, what's the use? I threw down the book I was trying to read. What's the use of anything? Poor thing, she was having a book in her hand and she was trying to read. But what is she telling? What is the use of me reading? Now, however, I have to give up studies. What is the use of reading this book? She was expressing her pain. She was expressing it through her dialogue. What's the use of anything she's telling? Poor thing, because she had big dreams. All are coming to an end. The scene ended, as always, with my walking out of the house. So all this was happening in that house. Now, what did she do? The only thing she could do was to walk out of the house. Poor thing. Because she was not in a position, she was in a helpless condition, she was in a hopeless condition, all her dreams coming to an end, all her aims sinking. Now, let's see what she's telling. House, one room. So, I shouldn't call that also as a house. It is only a one room. It's a single room. Now we are all blessed. Most of us have what? Most of us don't live in a single room. Might be there will be few, but many of us should feel it as what a blessing from God. Yes, we have one kitchen, one hall, bedroom. Okay, so many things. But here, look at Alka. She is living in a house and she's telling, I cannot even call that house as house because it is only having one single room. I stood in the gallery, my elbows on the faded, decaying wooden railing, my face propped on my palm. Now, what is she doing? She came out of the house, that is out of the room, and she stood in the gallery. So that had a railing, children. The wooden railing was there. So what did she do? She put her elbow. And how was that wooden railing also? She's describing the condition of that railing. Decaying means almost all what? Destroyed means destructed, okay, broken, okay, faded, okay, means not polished, broken, and all that. And on that, what did she do? She put her elbow on the wooden railing and the face propped on her palm. Okay, like this. Then on the either side of me, means where she was uh, holding a face, okay, putting her elbows on the wooden railing and a face onto the palm. What happened on the either side, this side and this side? What was there? They were people on either side of me. People stood in identical poses. Means all of them were in the same position. What were they doing? Watching. What? The same meaningless jumble of people milling around. So, all what is that? People were there. Jumble means many people were there, and they were jumble means they were not in a proper systematic order because that means between the uh, door of the room and the railing there was very little bit of uh, space, and people passing through that space were so many, and they were jumble means here they were not in an organized manner, they were in a haphazard way. Milling around means they were moving, some coming uh, towards, some going against, like that. With a gesture of impatience, I moved away. There also, she was showing her impatience, a sign of that she was not having any patience. What did she do? From there also, she had to move because of that discussion in the house, poor thing in that room. She came out. From there also, she had to move away because people were moving in and out, moving that to very in a congested place there. A boy walking past saw me, stopped. He smiled at me. I smiled back. I can't antagonize anyone in a place like this, especially boys. So here what is happening is there when she was moving away also, there was one boy who saw her. What he did when he saw Alka, he stopped there and he smiled at her. And even Alka smiled at him. Here you find that that boy was trying to attract her. Okay, means usually we find this also happening, okay, in and around also. And what did she do to show? She also showed her reaction. So she antagonized, means to cause someone to become hostile. Hostile means unfriendly. So she also smiled back. And what happened? Next we'll see, children. So she explained and she described the what happened outside the room, that is the house, outside that single room, how the place was so very congested with people moving all around and all meaningless, all what a kind of crowded place, giving her a lot of discomfort, no space, or giving her little breathing space, or just giving her a little time to at least come out of the mood which was upsetting her. So pathetic her condition was. When are your results? So they asked, when are her results? When her SSC results are going to be out? Then Alka replied, next week. Going to get a first class A. Means they were confident that she was an intelligent girl. So they were sure that she was going to get a first class, that she was going to pass in first division. I remembered how it had been when I had first come here from Nana's. Now she is comparing how was the house of her Nana. Nana means her mother's father, that's grandfather. Okay, mother's father is referred as Nana. Okay, and that is grandfather. She's comparing here how her grandfather's house was, how the living conditions were there, and she's comparing it to this one little room where they were living. Now let us know more about it. The thought, how will I live here? 6 of us in one room, the common toilets, the smell as if the whole building was one vast sewer, and everyone looking complacent and satisfied as if life could offer nothing better. If only I hadn't anything better. If only Nana hadn't taken us away. She's telling now what she's describing first the place wherein all the 6 of them were living. Okay, her father, her mother, her sister Rekha, herself Alka, then brother Sirish, and the younger sister Shobha. All were living in one single room, and they had common toilets. Children, means 5 to 6 houses. Okay, means 5 to 6 rooms. Whichever people were staying as tenants, they had to use this common washrooms. 5 to 6 houses, let there be 5 members or 6 members, they had to use the common toilet. Then moreover, she's talking about the smell that used to come from the whole building. Okay, it was like the smell and the whole building, she's comparing it to a sewer. Sewer means what? The drainage. Okay, and everyone looking complacent and satisfied as if life could offer nothing better, she's telling. Now what one thing she found was, even though the people were living in those little rooms, and what with many people in them, not only their family, so many other families who were staying as tenants there, all of them, though they were sharing the same washrooms also, and though the stinking smell of the drainage coming so congested, and the place of such great discomfort also, one thing she noticed was they were showing a sign of satisfaction. They were very pleased. So she's telling, I don't know. She's wondering how come the people can be so satisfied. Okay. And how come they can be so pleased? Complacent means pleased and satisfied with oneself. She's finding people living in such a drastic and such places of discomfort also had satisfaction, as if life could not offer them something good, something better, something better than this. So she's telling, if only I hadn't anything better, if only Nana hadn't taken us away. She's telling if Nana couldn't have taken away, means her grandfather had taken her to his house, she means. I had been there, I had been 3 and Rekha 6 when we had gone to live with Nana in Pune. She's telling that her grandfather, that's the mother's father, took whom Alka when she was 3 years old and her elder sister Rekha when she was 6 years old along with him, and they all stayed with who all means Rekha and Alka stayed with their grandfather, that's the mother's father. And which place? In Pune they stayed. Nana had a chemist shop and lived. So her grandfather, Alka's grandfather, was running a chemist shop, means a medical store. Okay. And oh, it was heaven compared to this chawl. So she's telling that her Nana's house was like heaven, where all spacious rooms. Okay. And they had a lot of privacy. They had they didn't have common toilets. There was no stinking smell. It was no drainage smell. There was no discomfort. Okay, it was very spacious. And you remember, children, when in the story we saw Alka comparing the house, that is the single room in which they were living, to hell. Now you can clearly see that here she is comparing the house in which they lived along with their grandfather to what? Heaven. So when they stayed with their grandfather in the grandfather's house, that was like heaven. And now they are staying with their parents in this chawl in a single room, that she's telling it is like hell. Now what is this chawl, children? You can see in the picture, in the image here, what a chawl is actually a building, children, which may be 3-storied or 4-storied, but all of them will be having usually one room or sometimes even 2, with very congested place. You can see here very congested. Okay. You can see they have common washrooms, and usually they have all common washrooms because the income is not so high that they can afford to live in spacious room, because of the low income, because of the state of poverty, because of them being very poor, because they cannot afford to spend more. So they have to get adjusted in these small rooms. So this chawl, she compared it to hell, very with this restricted place, common toilets, no space to even dry the clothes, very restricted movement. The whole world will be in this little room, or sometimes it may be even 2. Here in this story, though, we have Alka living in only one single room. Okay, then we had gone to a good school where we wore beautiful uniforms of white with colored sashes and black shoes. So she's telling when we were in our grandfather's house, what we had the opportunity of going to very good schools. And what she's talking about, they wore even beautiful dresses, school uniforms, and what white colored uniform, and they had colored sashes. Sashes is here flaps, children, over the shoulder. If the school is divided into groups, or sometimes even they may have a common colors. Think, for example, they had 4 groups of 4 different colors: yellow, red, blue, and purple, like that. So that sashes which are worn, it's a piece of cloth worn on the shoulder. So they had what? Nice colored sashes also on the shoulder for the uniform. Okay. And they wore nice polished black shoes also. And now what she's telling, now it all seems a dream. But here in this house where I'm staying with my parents, in this chawl, in this single room, that single room, which is our house, here, school uniform, colored sashes, and shoes. This is all a big dream, because the father is not in a position to give them all these what facilities. He is not even able to send them to a good school. He is not even able to give them uniforms have good, because good school means good, nice, because they stress more on what? Uniforms, color sachets, black shoes and all. Yes, all our children who are studying in a modern school, yes, children, school as well as college are actually gifted, because you'll have what? Good infrastructure, good benches, free books, free uniform. Yes, you are giving so many, you are so many facilities, labs. But how you are making use of? You must think here, children. You must make good use of the facilities that are given. You must know the value of the books which are given to you free of cost. So you must make good use of the facilities that are given. You must make good use of the labs. You must make proper use of the books. And you are gifted. You are what? You are blessed. You are lucky to get seat, get admission into model schools. So you also, children, must study well, come up with flying colors. See, here you see Alka, poor thing. Because of poverty, she is not even able to go to a good school. How could you have married Baba and got into this mess? I had asked mother in one of her rare moments of cordiality. What she's telling. Never Alka and her mother had what a good relationship. They never had a rapport. They never had what a good time. They never spent good time, because almost all the time the mother had what? Been rude. She never gave respect also. She never cared for the girls, even her husband also. So in one of the one rare moment, one rare thing, in the few times when they had a bit of good talk, that time out of that affection, what cordiality means here? Sincere affection and kindness. In those moments, very few moments of those good relationship, what did Alka do? She asked her mother. What she asked? How you married Baba? Means she's asking, Mummy, how you married our dad and got up into this mess? Miss what? Staying this stall, what? Having low income, not able to bring up the children properly, not able to send the children to good school, not even able to give them the comfort of life. How did you get into this mess? How did you marry? She's asking. I had asked mother in one of our rare moments of cordiality, she's telling. I mean, look at the way Nana lives and look at this. Why she had this? Now look how our grandfather lives. He has a chemist shop. He has a nice, comfortable home. When we were there, he was able to send us to a good school. We had nice, beautiful uniforms. We had shoes. So we had seen heaven. How come you all are living in this hell? Why this all happened? She's asking the mother, because she's comparing the show, means what kind of status her grandfather belonged to, and what is that condition in which, being the daughter of a father who runs a chemist shop and has a nice, beautiful, comfortable home, how come her daughter, that is, she is living in such pathetic condition in a chawl, that too in a single room, which is the house, wherein life is so difficult, wherein she is not even able to make her life better. She is in such a pathetic condition. She got married to such a man whose income is so very, very less. Mother's face had closed up even more than usual. She had no answer. She just couldn't answer, and her face has closed up, where she had no answer, no reply, because she will come to know why and all that next, children. So she didn't give answer, and she felt very low. She felt belittled. Okay, and she had said nothing. My question had been purely rhetorical, but my question had been purely Rhetorical. Rhetorical means asked in order to make a statement rather to elicit information. So here, what is a rhetorical question? Rhetorical question is a question which is asked in order not to get an answer, okay, just to make a statement, not to get any more information also. Such question you call it as a rhetorical question. So Alka asking her mother, what, how come you got married to Baba and got into mess, is also a rhetorical question which had no answer. Only she asked it, okay, but she was not expecting any answer out of it. Now we will be ending this short story, children. This story has part 2 also, children. So we are going to end up here, okay, and we will be continuing it in the next session. So till that time, just open your textbook, read the story till where I have stopped, children. And here in this short story, from examination point of view, you will be asked only question, not like the prose or poetry. We do not have any annotations, okay. We have only just questions asked, and each question carries 4 marks. So here when you are answering, what you got to keep in your mind is you are going to first write the name of the lesson. That is, what is the name of the lesson? That is the short story, children, The Awakening. Who has written it? Yes, Shashi Deshpande. So you must know the name of the short story, you must know the name of the author, and you must know what is this whole story about. So whenever any question comes from this lesson, what you're going to do is just mention the name of the short story, who has written it, and you must be telling what is this short story all about in 1 or 2 lines. Here, the main story is about what we are going to talk. We were talking about the pathetic condition of a young girl called Alka, okay, who had to give up her studies, okay. So that you're going to mention, and whatever question is asked, these points would be the same for all the questions. What is that? The name of the short story, the name of the author, what is this short story all about? These 3 things would be common for all the questions that come from the short story. Okay, children, The Awakening, written by Shashi Deshpande. Okay, children. Then whatever question is asked, the relevant, whatever content is relevant, you are going to add up to these common things. Okay, children, the 3 common things: name of the short story, the author of the short story, what is the short story all about. These 3 things will remain common for all the questions that come for the short stories, not only The Awakening, but also for any short story that is going to come in the exam, children. Now, hope you all will read the short story. That is part 1, from where I have started till and where I have ended. And children, you try to write this, answer these questions. I have given only 2 questions. Okay, children. First question is, describe the conditions in which Alka lived. Okay, when you're answering this, first write that The Awakening is a short story written by Shashi Deshpande, and in this story, Shashi Deshpande talks about the pathetic condition of a young girl who had to give up her studies and take up the job of a typist. You write that much enough. Okay. If you want to write, you can add up 1 more point, but that is more than enough, children. And now here, when we are telling, describe the conditions in which Alka lived, then you explain, children, that they lived in a chawl first, you'll write. Then how was that chawl? It had common washrooms. Okay, the place was congested. The gallery part also you can describe. How was the gallery? That was a gallery had what? Wooden railing. How was the wooden railing? It was what distracted, okay, and faded. Okay, you can write about it. Then you are going to talk about the room in which they lived. Okay, and what a single room. Okay, how many members had to live there? 6 members that you will mention. Okay, then you are going to tell how it was crowded. Okay, how it was congested, what kind of people lived there. Okay, all that you can talk about, children. I hope it's clear, children. And this one question, just try to write even this one. Okay, what is your dream? How would you achieve it? Okay, write this, children. What is your dream? How would you achieve it? Okay, children. Hope you enjoyed the short story, part 1. Meet you again in part 2 of the short story, The Awakening. Till then, what you're going to do? You are going to do the assignment. I hope you enjoyed part 1, and I promise you, you will be liking even part 2. So meet you in the next webinar session with part 2 of the short story, The Awakening. Thank you, children.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. It was a great session. Though it was in detail, you have explained it in a detailed manner. So, my dear students, as madam said, you'll read the story of Alka and you'll write the answers. And in the coming session, in the second part 2, you will see how Alka sacrificed her studies and how she gave up and how she became the scapegoat to poverty and her unavoidable circumstances of life. Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am.